was 1996. Bill Clinton was still president and the nation was at a turning point. While the algorithm, A. Archibald Abernathy, and Zero Zuckerberg continued to plot against the work of America's finest moonbase Psychotronic, the crew remained stalwart in their endeavors to collect the powerful psychotronic energy emanating across the far-flung reaches of the known universe. With psychotronic energy levels on Earth plummeting due to the effects of Hurricane Bertha and the launch of Rupert Murdoch's Fox News channel, the hopes that head researchers, some guy named Jeff and his loyal assistant, the Bois, would be able to allot enough psychotronic energy to continue their efforts to both fuel the moonbase and utilize the energy's capability to repel negatron goo, enveloping the Earth and constantly threatens to block the sun's light from reaching our green grass and trees. With the few options left, it would be the book, purchased by some guy named Jeff at the moon's only convenient Barnes & Noble location, next to the moon's only Schlotsky's location, home of the delicious olive spread. The book, Sex and Zin and a Bullet in the Head by Stefan Hammond and Mike Wilkins, would lead our two intrepid explorers to the hallmarks of Hong Kong cinema in the 1970s, 1980s, and mid-90s, and utilize the strange and wonderful world inhabited by naked female killers, heroic Taoists, buxom robots, and drunken karate fighters, and be the start of a short-lived surplus of psychotronic energy that the world would celebrate, forever known as the Year of Living Psychotronically, until the small nation of Hong Kong returned back to China in 1997.
We all remember our first time. Perhaps yours was during the late-night showing on Cinemax of John Woo's Hard Boiled in the mid to late 90s, or possibly at your local video store when you were enticed by the buxom cover of Michael Mack's Sex and Zen. Mine? Oh, mine was a Chinese ghost story. I'd never seen anything like it. It was a visual treat, and it beckoned me to seek out everything I could find of Hong Kong cinema. Where American movies put the action up front in set piece after set piece, and dialogue and character interaction is only allowed to breathe in between, the action in a Chinese ghost story came fluidly within the story, never overwhelming you. As a bonus, Inglorious Wire Fu. Most importantly, the movie was fun. The goofy antics of the late great Leslie Chung as the inept tax collector and scholar Ning, as he tries to make sense of the actions of aged swordsman Yen, played by Ng Ma, is a joy as the grumpy Taoist leaps from tree to tree, swinging his sword wildly at silken apparitions fleeting by. I love that three-shot assembly they often utilize when you get a wide shot of the performer leaping as there is no gravity. Then the next shot is an extreme close-up of their foot bouncing off a tree, and then the final shot of them floating amongst the branches. Yeah, that's the good stuff. And then there is the ghost of the title, played by the beautiful and talented Joey Wong, as she reluctantly searches the woods for virgins and their yang energy. Yang energy. Defeat her master in Spirit World Pimp, the She-Warlock. I know it sounds crazy, but stick with me because Hong Kong cinema is crazy. It's a mess. Their movies are chaotic, idiosyncratic, weird, hilarious, exciting, and fun. And A Chinese Ghost Story is the perfect introduction to their cinematic world. The plot is simple. Young tax collector goes into town to collect taxes. Locals, not fans of taxes, tell him there is nowhere for him to stay except for a temple just outside of town. They fail to tell him that the temple is cursed. The old swordsman is already staying at the temple, and is spending his evenings hunting the ghosts that populate the woods. One of those ghosts is a beautiful young woman who was murdered a year earlier and is now being used by an evil spirit to collect travelers' souls of their yang energy. She falls upon the young man, but after she sees that he is a good person not intent on taking advantage of her, they fall in love, and from there, everything goes batshit crazy. The swordsman, knowing that the living can never be with the dead, slowly becomes a reluctant ally of the ill-fated lovers, and epically battles her metaphysical demon pimp and its engorged and elongated tongue. The secret is in the sauce. One, A Chinese Ghost Story was produced by Soyark, a god of Asian cinema, who knows action and comedy, who also produced many of John Woo's greatest films, including A Better Tomorrow and A Bullet in the Head, and has directed such greats as Once Upon a Time in China and Warriors of Zoo Mountain. By the way, he did have a brief foray into American cinema by producing Jean-Claude Van Damme's Double Team and Knockoff. The less said, the better. And two, there is just a magic to Hong Kong movies during the lead up to the handoff of Hong Kong from Great Britain back to China. There's a frenetic, nervous energy, like they want to show and tell everything they desire before they are no longer allowed to. You can almost feel it as you watch. The camera never sits still and glides from one shot to the next. Characters' dialogue is spoken at a pace comparable to a hyperactive spaz with a jackhammer on speed. Blood doesn't gush, it sprays like Jackson Pollock is in charge of practical effects. Their movies don't babysit you, and no time is left to explain the minutiae or vomit exposition all over the place so you can keep up. They have no time for pronouns and tell you who is doing what and why it is important that they are stopped, helped, or hindered. A Chinese Ghost Story is perfection. If you love fantasy like Wizard of Oz, Labyrinth, or Dark Crystal, you will adore A Chinese Ghost Story. If you are not, you will still love A Chinese Ghost Story. If you are alive or a ghost, yeah, you'll love A Chinese Ghost Story too. A Chinese Ghost Story was released in 1987 and directed by Ching Su, produced by Soy Hark, and starred Joey Wong, Leslie Chung, Ng Ma, and David Lam, and would go on to be showered with awards in both Hong Kong and China. In fact, it swept China's version of the Academy Awards that year. It is currently available free through Amazon Prime, so there really is no reason to not give it a watch like right now. Seriously, right now. And now a blatant product placement that grants me no financial gain. In 1996, my purchase of Stefan Hammond's and Mike Wilkins' Guide to Hong Kong Cinema, Sex and Zen and a Bullet in the Head was my Bible. It led me on the path to discover all the wonders of A Chinese Ghost Story, Mr. Vampire, Human Meat Buns. Honestly, baby steps towards Human Meat Buns. It's a bit much. Sex and Zen, Peking Opera Blues, etc., etc. Anyway, I'm happy to announce that they released an update. More sex, better Zen, faster bullets in 2020. And it is available on Amazon and other book retailers. It is just as good, if not better, than the original, and you should pick up a copy for yourself and start discovering this wonderful world. I'm just some guy named Jeff. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and wash behind the ears. And also, we are all
Psychotronic.
I got the yeah.